In this segment, you will learn how to structure and format your bullet points as accomplishment statements in your employment section. You will also learn about the SAR process, situation, action, results, and how you can incorporate these into your bullet points. We will also review sample accomplishment statements and a SAR example for further illustration. Listing bullet points under each of your employers on your resume is visually appealing and it makes it easier to read and follow. It's important not to use these bullet points as a laundry list of job duties. The job responsibility statement will show what you are responsible for in the role, so the reader already knows that. You want to use the bullet points to highlight your accomplishments, achievements, and successes in that role. This is how you will differentiate yourself from other candidates. Simply listing job duties on your resume only tells the prospective employer what you are paid to do. It doesn't tell them how well you performed. That's what they're mostly interested in. Think of a job you've had where there were other people in the same position as you. You may have been the best person in that job and a great employee, and then there may have been others in the role who were not so good. Simply put, they were poor performers. If you just listed your job duties on your resume, you and that person would have the same looking resume because both of you had the same job responsibilities. The prospective employer wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two of you. This is why it's so important to differentiate yourself from other candidates and highlight your accomplishments. That's what the employers are looking for. They want to see your results. Try and put your bullet points into an action result format. This means start off your bullet point with an action and then close out the statement with the result. This will make for a more complete and well-rounded statement. Be sure and use the correct tense for the action verb at the beginning of your bullet point. If you are currently in the position, the action verb should be in present tense. If you are no longer in the position, the action verb should be in past tense. For past tense, think of ed words, meaning the word ends in ed, such as processed, delivered, reduced, supervised, etc. The results at the end of the statement may oftentimes lead in with an ing word, such as ensuring, surpassing, contributing, reducing, etc. If you can make the bullet point statement quantifiable by adding in any numbers or percentages, that's great. Putting quantitative data in there will make the statement stand out because it will be more specific and more results-oriented. Numbers will stand out on a resume and will catch the reader's eye in a good way. When thinking about what to put into your bullet points, ask yourself these questions. What did I do especially well on the job? How did that help the employer, my coworkers, or customers? What did I do on the job that set me apart from anyone else that did the same job? How was my performance measured? Is there any quantitative data I can provide? And remember, think in terms of ed and ing words. Here are a couple accomplishment samples. Process up to 100 appraisals daily, surpassing accuracy standards by 50%. By putting in the number of appraisals being processed each day, we can see this candidate's workload and work pace, and then we can also see that they're achieving some great results as well. By putting in quantitative data and in an action results format, we have more detail on this person's success in their job. It's much better than simply listing it as a job duty. Or here's another one. Reduced unnecessary delays by 10% by directly resolving computer issues rather than relying on outside sources. Again, it's action results formatted and provides some good quantitative data. Now I want to shift gears for a minute and talk about interviews and the SAR process. Situation, action, results, and how this ties into your resume. The SAR process is used in what's called behavior-based interviews. Nowadays, many employers will conduct this type of interview where they will ask behavioral-based interview questions as opposed to traditional interview questions. Traditional questions are often more opinion-based, such as, tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. What do you like most about this field? Or, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Behavior-based interview questions, on the other hand, are going to be more specific. They'll start off by saying, tell me about a time when, or give me an example of when, and so on. These questions are typically much tougher to answer because they're going to ask you to provide a specific example or experience you've had. You need to reply to these questions in a three-part answer: a beginning, a middle, and an end, or the situation, action, and results. The situation sets up the story. This beginning part tells them about the example or experience you're going to share. The action will let them know the specific steps you took to resolve the situation. This is the middle part and probably where you'll spend the most amount of time. Finally, the result is your ending. Wrap up your answer by providing the results you achieved by taking the action steps you did. And remember, always use an experience that has a positive result. The reason these questions are being asked is because it will give the interviewer much more detail about your skills and knowledge. What happens is, the interviewers will ask all of the candidates the same behavior-based questions, because past behavior will be an indicator of future behavior. This means the way you handled the situation previously is how you will handle it again when the same situation happens. Let's review a quick SAR example. Suppose you get asked a behavioral-based interview question that says, "Tell me about a time where you had to resolve an error that occurred at work." You remember the time where you were working as a buyer and had an issue where goods were shipped to the wrong location. So you say, "While working as a buyer at ABC Company, I was checking on a past due purchase order because there was a concern for meeting the production schedule due to some missing inventory. I checked with the supplier who said the goods were already delivered and provided proof of delivery, but I noticed the signature was from a different plant location. So at that point, I researched and determined which plant location actually received the goods. I realized it was not close enough to pick up and bring back to the correct location, so I requested that the supplier issue a call tag and have the goods picked up and rerouted to the correct location. As a result, the goods were delivered to the correct location, entered into inventory, and the invoice was paid in a timely manner." This is just a quick example for illustrative purposes. The reason for bringing up the SAR process in a resume course is because if you take the time now to think of some good SAR stories from your past experiences, you can take out the action and result pieces and format them into an accomplishment bullet point for your resume. This will not only make for a great statement on your resume, but will come in handy during your interview when you are asked a behavioral-based question. Instead of being under pressure to quickly come up with a response, you can simply glance at your resume, see the statement, and give your answer. Basically, your resume works as a cue card. So, how do you turn a SAR story into a resume accomplishment statement? It's very simple. Using the SAR example I just provided, you can rephrase the answer into an action result statement, such as, "Collaborated with vendor to research past due purchase order, located missing goods, and expedited delivery, ensuring critical production schedule was met." This provides the action and result in a well-rounded bullet point. It's that simple, and will surely catch the reader's attention. So, you now have the information you need to create effective accomplishment statements and how to incorporate the SAR process into bullet points in your resume employment section.